All right, week 4. Can't believe it's been a month of these actually already. It's gone pretty fast. Yeah. This week, the thing I have been using and thinking about is this process of visualization. And I thought that would be interesting to reflect on, because I discovered it for the first time at the beginning of last year. So relatively quite new to visualization. Like, I picked up meditation about sort of 10 years ago, but was only doing mindfulness stuff because that's all I thought meditation was. And then last year, I remember from a few books, discovering this world of visualization, completely like dove into it afterwards. Realized on some of the apps that they do, like on Headspace and a few of these other apps, they would have done some small visualization practices, which I think at the time I enjoyed. But really started getting into it more last year. I had this 1 month where I was completely obsessed, doing it every day. And now it's kind of fallen into my routine in a very nice way, when I know I need it, or when I can identify those moments where I'm either low in mood, low in confidence, or just not really feeling in my body. I think I'd often turn to visualization. Or if I'm over worrying, and I think that's like a big one for me. I think like visualization seems to help me worry less. And I think the more I think about it, the more it's like worry less and give me a sort of oomph to go out and do whatever it is I'm doing, really. Some examples from the past week. On Wednesday last week, I was working and for some reason decided to start my day with a 20-minute visualization on top of my usual routine. And I just remember having this extra spring in my step for the whole day. And specifically at that time, I did a visualization that I was taught by a family friend who I think might have learned it from Tony Robbins when he did like 10 of his masterclasses like 20, 30 years ago. And Tony Robbins is very heavy, I think, on the mind and visualization. It revolves around the Wheel of Life rubric and spending 5 minutes at a time imagining the feeling states of having abundant health, abundant friendships, family relationships and community, work and personal growth, I think is the 5th one. And the idea is you just close your eyes and I would just sit there and imagine how it would feel in my body if all of those things are going well. And for me, what's really interesting is we kind of spend a lot of time imagining the worst case scenario without realizing, and subconsciously throughout the day, my mind is always predicting what might go wrong as a predictive mechanism. And it feels like when I sit down and do these visualizations, especially at the start of the day, but any point in the day works, but when I sit down, it feels like I'm rebalancing the scales a little bit. My mind naturally worries. I sit and imagine the positive, what could go well, or imagining life going really well and feeling great. But the feeling state stays with me as I go across my day. And I think a lot of people talk about how you have to really feel it in your body, in your legs, in your chest. I guess an element of mind-body connection there is helpful to be able to kind of control what you feel, or like impact, or not control, that's probably the wrong word, but to be able to, there's a word I'm looking for that I can't find. Manipulate. Ugh, doesn't sound nice as well. So that's one style that I've done, but then even yesterday, I spent the day feeling quite groggy as the day before. I'd had a long work day, so I was taking things a bit slower. And after work, I was like about to go on a night out just to see a DJ who I really loved. And this is a DJ, she's flown over from LA, someone who I really wanted to see for a long time. I was going to go to this event completely alone because I just wanted to see her. But I remember getting to the end of the day and just feeling like quite groggy. And having moved slow the whole day, probably not in the right energetic level to go and make the best of the night. So after a yoga class, I kind of came back and decided to do some sort of mental work to help me on the night out. And I've used visualization this way a few times, but I sat there and just imagined myself already being in that moment, eyes closed, and dancing, how my body would feel just completely loose. And sat with it for about 15, 20 minutes. So my mind drifted to other things in that moment, but I brought it back to this feeling of imagination really being at play here. And it's like putting myself in that moment already. And at the start, sometimes it can be a bit harder, but by the end, it was just felt so incredibly like alive and awake. And I was cycling to the venue in London, and I just felt this sense of like energy tingling across my body. Is there any way to describe it? Like a sense of, if you've just finished a gym workout or like something that makes you feel good, not too tired but alive, could feel that sort of tingly sensation across like my whole body. I was cycling and my head was clearer, like I was being less pulled into my thoughts, and really just all the buildings around London just looked like incredibly clear as well. And I turned up there and I just didn't really have any of that grogginess that I've had the whole day. Bear in mind, I was going slow. It just kind of was in the past, and I was this like new person, reborn, and was able to just really enjoy the whole night and carry that with me. And I remember thinking when I first got into visualization, the beginning of last year, so about a year and a half ago, I remember thinking it was that the sort of, it's like I discovered fire. I was like, this is incredible. I remember really feeling these states. And then I kind of fell off the wagon over the course of last year, and then kind of lost almost a bit of faith or belief in it. Maybe the visualizations weren't, like I wasn't tapping in deeper enough, or I don't know, something just kind of, it lost its path for me and I stopped doing it as much. And it's funny because the memory alone of myself having amazing experiences last year was not enough to convince me that this worked. And I almost lost belief in it. But now, again, after having practiced it and like tapped into it, it really feels like for me, this is going to be a tool in my toolkit for the rest of my life. Like as I get older, in whatever scenario. Okay, so the camera just cut. I normally like to do these in one takes, but my battery died, so we'll go again. I think I was at a point where I was just reflecting on having lost faith and then now rediscovering it again. And yeah, this has to be part of my toolkit of meditation for the rest of my life, really, because there's something so state changing in it that I don't get from other techniques. I think there's like a lot of focused attention practices that can sharpen my focus and my ability to concentrate on things. There's a lot of open awareness practices that can help you see more and take in more information and be less held on to thoughts. And I think they all have their place, but I think there's something amazing about visualization in the fact that it can just, when done right, it can just make me feel great immediately. I have a creative mind, so I'm wondering if the fact that I'm naturally quite creative plays a bit of an advantage for me, because I'm able to create this world of what it could be like. But then I'd also argue against that, where if everyone's able to visualize negatively, I'm sure this is not just related to creative people, and I'm sure that like there's benefits in it for more. But there's been so many places where I've used visualization to change my state now that it's beyond any shadow of doubt that it works for me. Even on like, I've been on a few stags in the last few years, one just a few months ago, one last year. And you don't think about these techniques to like improve how you feel in those moments, but actually in both those moments you're going to meet a group of guys who you've never seen before. Your mind, my mind at least, naturally was like predicting the worst, being like, yeah, it just has these thoughts about fitting in and all of this stuff. But using visualization firstly to like turn up as my best self really helped, but then also during it, just like as a little energy boost is almost how I was using it in the mornings before I'd even get out of my room, having a little charge up and kind of balancing and anchoring my mind in the direction I wanted it to think and feel for the rest of the day. And there's something about like when it kind of, I think when you visualize in it, for me at least, when it impacts my feelings, like when I can feel it, it lies beyond this thinking layer of the mind where like I can think, let's say, that I'm going to feel great and feel confident. That's just the thought. But for me, when I'm like embodying the feelings of confidence, like, and if I can really direct my attention deeply into my chest, what would it feel like in my chest if I was confident? What would it feel like in my legs? How would my face react? How would my shoulders be? And I think to a degree, this is where I believe all meditation practices are quite complementary of each other. Because if my concentration and my focused attention practices were not allowing me to hold my attention steady enough where I want it to go, maybe I couldn't visualize as effectively. So having like a focused attention practice where you can really concentrate and direct your mind, I think is super important for visualization. But then just being able to, really experientially feel it, and that just stays with me. Like it's like it acts like this foundational layer that lives with me even when I go through the rest of the day. And for me, it's really the one that kind of makes life enjoyable. Like, sure, I think training attention is really important. I think all the other practices have their place and have like deep rootedness. But for me, visualization has this ability to like quieten the overthinker, the over-worrier that's constantly feeding me negative images, right? It's constantly like up here trying to protect me, and it all comes from an amazing place, and it's how, like, I guess I've survived for all these years, but it's constant threat detection, and visualization just gives me a few moments to be like, you know what, I want to rebalance that, and it powerfully stays with me, even if my mind wants to like lean negative, it kind of doesn't go as far or doesn't get as pulled. So yeah, just two examples from the past week where I've used it, but there's so many more. Maybe I think I want to do a separate reflection on using it on stags and weird places, because I think there's some details I can go into. The one final thing, just to reflect on when I was visualizing this week, was this felt sense that also there's an opening that happens inside of you, and this is going to sound super weird and super fluffy and hard to put into words. I'm still probably figuring that part out, but it's like it's almost as if when I imagine good things, or I can direct my attention inwards, I can feel myself opening and growing, and my mind becomes very sensitive to how my body feels in a positive scenario. So say if I'm surrounded by friends, I'm naturally probably very, like, my chest is probably like warm, my shoulders are down, my body's relaxed, laughing, and these are all like micro senses of your state in which you are when you're in like an environment that you really want to be in. But if you can learn that consciously, and through visualization be able to like create an image to help you feel that state when you're not in it, that's great. But then I think there's another layer to it which I'm trying to figure out, which is actually your mind then eventually connects to, without the image, it can connect to that feeling of what does it feel like just to try and, I'm going to use the word open again, but like kind of open my arm or open my chest or drop my shoulders, or that same feeling that I have when I'm around people who I love, I can almost do without an image in moments. And not that I've used this a lot, but I just thought about this week as I was practicing, because I was like, there's moments during the visualization where I lost the image, but I could stay with the feeling of it and grow. And I think there's something powerful in that, because I guess the more I can train my mind to connect to that feeling, perhaps that means, say I'm out and about and I'm like, I don't know, at a networking event, at a dinner, with friends, whatever, and suddenly my mind is like worrying. I'm not going to go close off somewhere and go visualize, right? But if I could suddenly just be able to connect my mind to my body and really open up and create those feelings of warmth, safety, openness, and maybe in Chinese tradition you might call this qi, like qi practices, I don't know. But if I could really tap into that, then I think there's something really exciting to be unlocked over the course of my lifetime. But yeah, visualizations are such a special practice. I think it's something that I really want to keep diving down into. I think it's very interconnected to other meditation practices and hard to do, in my opinion, in isolation, deeply. And there's a lot of traditions that I've learned that have actually done it as well in the past. Like, it's not something that's been around just recently. So yeah, lots to explore for me, but looking forward to the journey ahead of visualizing.